A warm welcome to everyone joining us for the latest session in Calcine Media's highly regarded InvestNest webinar series. This entry is titled Sailing the Golden Wave, featuring ASX Explorers, TEM, and CGR at InvestNest 2025. I am Monica, your host and anchor from Calcine Media, and I'll be guiding you through today's webinar. Before going ahead with the session, it's important that you're aware this is a webinar for informational purpose only and should not be a solicitation or recommendation to engage in any investment activity under discussion. We are neither licensed nor qualified to provide investment advice through this platform. Now, the core idea behind the InvestNest webinar is to bring you face to face with a panel of industry experts who share not only the potential of their businesses and growth strategies, but also the deeper value and vision driving their companies forward. Today's session goes beyond the numbers. We'll uncover the untold stories behind how these business leaders identify key opportunities, took bold steps, and transform them into lasting success. Now, this event serves as a rich source of insights, offering guidance on emerging themes, breakthrough trends, and evolving opportunities within the Australian market. The business presentation today will be for 15 minutes by each speaker and will be followed by a 5 minutes of Q&A round. The webinar attendees can post their questions in the question and answer chat box during the webinar, and the same will be taken by the respective business leaders post their presentation. If due to time constraints we are unable to take your questions live, they can be sent to us on info@calkinemedia.com. Our esteemed panelists will ensure that all your queries are thoughtfully responded to. As we look forward, this webinar will explore the promising future of ASX listed companies emerging as key players in Australia's mineral exploration sector. Also, it should be noted that some of these resources we discussed today are gaining a strong momentum in the market. First up is CGN Resources Limited. The ticker code for this one is CGR. It's a mineral exploration company focused on the discovery of gold, copper, nickel, and critical metals. The company is actively progressing its flagship web project located in the West Arunta region. Alongside this, CGN Resources is further expanding its exploration footprint by advancing the Panhandle project. Additionally, the Christmas Well projects near Leonora remain key areas of focus with ongoing exploration activities. Expanding its reach, the company has recently secured highly prospective tenure in the Paterson province, strategically positioned along strike from the Nifty copper mine. Overall, CGN Resources now manages multiple projects across several promising terraces targeting the copper, gold, and critical metals. Our next featured company today is Tempest Mineral Limited. The ticker code for this one is TEM. It's a mineral exploration company with a diversified portfolio of projects across Western Australia. At the forefront of their portfolio is the 100% owned Mount Magnet Range project, situated just south of the historic Britannia Well Gold Mine. And this August, TEM is set to initiate its maiden reverse circulation drilling campaign here, focusing on high priority gold targets identified from recent detailed field work. Now, these prospects stretch along an impressive strike length of nearly 7 kilometers and cover diverse geological settings. In addition, the company's Yalgu project is showing strong promise with metallurgical test results from the Remorse iron discovery yielding up to 70% iron concentrate, which is an encouraging sign for the project's further development potential. I am delighted to introduce our esteemed speakers for today's session. We have Mr. Stan Woolley, the Managing Director of CGN Resources Limited, and Mr. Don Smith, the Managing Director of Tempest Minerals Limited. Now, both bring a wealth of experience and deep industry knowledge, driving exploration success in minerals, Australia's mineral sector. To kick things off, let me welcome Mr. Stan Woolley. He is an experienced geologist, entrepreneur, consultant, and executive with over 30 years of experience in the mineral exploration industry. Now, Mr. Woolley has successfully led and delivered exploration projects targeting iron ore, base metals, gold, and uranium in more than 15 countries. He has provided strategic guidance to the boards of companies ranging from junior explorers to major mining houses listed on the Australian, Canadian, London stock exchanges. Let's hear the inside scoop. Without any further ado, let me pass it over to Mr. Oli to share his insights on CGN Resources. Shan, please take it from here.
Thanks, Monica. And yeah, look, thanks, Monica, for that. And thanks, Calcine Media, for the opportunity to talk about CGN and our projects. For those of you who don't know or haven't followed the story, we listed back in October of 2023 with a key focus on targeting copper, gold, and nickel. That's what CGN stands for. But with discovery on our northern boundary of quite significant niobium deposits, we've kind of switched N for niobium there from nickel. And we are now got a broader suite of projects and charging down that exploration path. I gave you a little bit of time to read that. I recommend you read it with diligence. Look, so the company, as I said, listed, and originally we were focused 100% on our web project, which is in the West Arunta region. We've got a large land holding there of nearly 1,000 square kilometres. Very interesting part of the world, massively underexplored, and thought to be highly prospective for iron oxide, copper, gold, and carbonatites. Since listing, we've been pretty diligent in trying to diversify our exploration options. And so we've developed a really significant land holding around Leonora. And I'll probably spend a bit more time on that today as we go through this, given the title of the Golden Sale. And our third project, the Broadhurst project, is up in the Paterson province, a long strike from Nifty, covering large areas of the Broadhurst formation. Look, the company is an exploration company. We firmly believe that high quality geoscience generates high quality targets, and high quality targets often leads to major discovery. And so we take that very seriously, and that really is a central ethos of the company. Because of our broader footprint now, we're really targeting IOCGs and carbonatites in the web project. There is some potential for rare earths there as well, and gold and copper in our other two projects. We remain very well funded. We've got nearly 4 million cash, in fact, 400 to be nice. And we intend to spend that as we have to date on high impact exploration. For those who have been following the story, you may have seen this chart before. I think the bit that the key takeaway for this is that the board is highly experienced. We've all got more than 35 years experience working in the minerals industry, either as directors or geologists or metallurgists, and sometimes more than one of those at the same time. And we also use a lot of really sort of expert level advisors to make sure that we're getting the best advice when we sort of enter new projects and just looking at the data that we collect. I think a really important part is the shareholder donut there. Our very first shareholder donut had exactly the same split of percentages there. Our top 20 shareholders have been very loyal, and they're and there's a reason for that. We went out and sought people who were high net worth, resource savvy investors that wanted to get in behind exploration and not just try and get in and out on a cent here or a cent there, but actually support us through the journey to major discovery with the idea that they'll be handsomely rewarded at the end. As I said, like I'll spend a little bit of time talking about our new Christmas Well and Panhandle projects. They're currently still in application, but we're very close on both of them. We've signed all of our required agreements with some people who have miscellaneous licenses over the top. We've signed the agreement and agreed the agreement with the Darlot Traditional Owner Group, and are just waiting that to come back. And once that's done, I think we'll progress very quickly to granting of these tenements. The area itself, Leonora, is highly endowed with gold deposits. We've sort of, I guess, put on that diagram there the big ones and a few of the more important ones. But what it demonstrates is that highlighted colourful band is a really important piece of stratigraphy in this part of the world. It's where the Rayside batholith comes up against the eastern greenstone terrain, and it hosts, the 8 million ounce Gwalia deposit. Calis has sort of just under 1 million. Tarmula has 4 million. And then there's a number of 200 to 500,000 ounce deposits spread along there. And Ulysses in the south, although slightly different stratigraphy, has over 2 million ounces in it. The tenure that we've picked up, it has this stratigraphy within it, and it's been explored to some extent, which has highlighted some, interesting hits. And for a number of reasons, it's never really been followed up systematically, partly because a lot of that stuff is hidden under cover in terms of sort of alluvial cover mostly. And in many cases, the tenure was held by big companies that had a lot of other fish to fry at the same time. So Sons of Gwalia, and before them St Barb's, St Barb's, and before them Sons of Gwalia, sort of held most of this ground, and now a lot of it's held in Genesis. So we're quite fortunate to be able to get our hands on this, and that's kind of been through diligent monitoring of Tengraph and being prepared to move quickly. I'll just touch on our Christmas Well project, because we're probably more advanced on this one. We've assembled most of the historic data that is publicly available, and presented on that image there is, drill holes from various parts of history with their highest values displayed within them. And I think what you can see is that there's quite a lot of smoke associated with that important piece, that stratigraphic boundary. And sadly, actually, I just realised this image is not the right one, because our tenure now actually comes down and covers these holes here as well, and comes all the way over here. But that aside, there's a number of pretty interesting hits: 3 meters at 1.9, 4 meters at 1.3. 2 meters at 6, 3 at 1, and most of these have had some level of follow-up, but generally speaking, the drill spacing out here is still 400 to 800 meter space lines, vertical RAB or air core, which often didn't penetrate the cover. And I think there's a real opportunity to use good and, I guess, more recent geoscience to come back and have a look at it. Another interesting part, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this is an interpreted sliver of greenstone, which is wrapped down into the granite, and it surprisingly has never been tested with drilling. And we're really quite excited to get out there and test that as part of our early drilling works. Stage one, though, will be to get some really high quality aeromag over this. The public data is pretty good, but for a number of reasons, all the people that have done work over this still hold the high quality data. It's not really in Magix yet. So we're really excited about this project. I think there's a number of kind of walk-up drill targets, and I'm sure our airmag will generate some new ones for us to go and do, or hopefully support or provide more data to support the ones we do have. Our Broadhurst project is a very recent acquisition. We only pegged this ground probably 4 to 6 weeks ago. We monitor Tengraph very closely on a daily basis to see what's becoming available and what isn't. And when we see something we like, we like to jump on it. IGO dropped this ground, an Encounter out of a JV. They've done some work on it, but that work has demonstrated the presence of a number of base metal hits for copper, zinc, and silver. And I think they require more follow-up. I think the more important piece of this is that there's a number of really interesting targets that have never been tested. The red material on that image is the Broadhurst Formation, which is the primary host of Nifty, Maroochydore, BM1, which are marked on there, as well as there's probably 20 really quite advanced other prospect targets which are outside our tenure, but equally really demonstrate how endowed this piece of geology is. And so I worked at Nifty for a couple of years back in the day, and so I'm quite familiar with what to look for. And I think there's a number of structural and geological targets that we can see in the data we already have. But again, we need to get this tenure granted, and so we've started that process. We're in dialogue with the MATU, and thankfully there's no other stakeholders of note with conflicting tenure or anything like that. So once we've got that agreement done, we're hopeful we can move pretty quickly towards grant and expiration. Web has still been our primary focus over the last year. Our tenure package there in the red sits in amongst some quite esteemed company these days. WA1 has made a major discovery at Looney and has been handsomely rewarded in their share price and capital raisings, which has allowed them to really push that along with a great deal of rapidity. Encounter Resources as well have made some really nice discoveries there and have also been rewarded and are really busy. Everyone went here looking for IOCG and to their good fortune have found niobium-rich carbonatites, but all of them are still, I know, looking for IOCGs. Tali, who out to our west there, only floated a month ago and has been really well supported in the market, targeting IOCGs and carbonatites in their significant package of ground right next to us. And I wish them the best of luck. Every time someone makes a discovery, it increases visibility on our area. And I guess, pretty much everyone that has gone there has tasted some level of success. We've been really busy over the last 2 years. We've done a bunch of different geophysical techniques to try and refine our targets and generate new ones. Our primary tools are really airborne gravity and airborne magnetics, which we then also, if there appears to be a reason, have used ground gravity and EM to try and help us refine targets. We trialled passive seismic over a number of our targets, but we found it didn't really give us a lot of useful information. So we've sort of gone away from that. So we've done drilling at Surus, at Tantor, quite a bit at Shep, because that's shallower drilling. All of our other ones are kind of deep, large gravity targets. And we've drilled 2 holes up at Kandula this year. I think a really important part of the story is that we've tested a number of our targets, but we still have a number of real high quality targets left to test at Webb. And we don't really want to just rush and spend all our cash. We really want to go back, look at what we've learned from the drilling we've done, and then take a measured approach to which ones we hit next. We drilled K4 and K5, and what it does demonstrate, although we didn't find an IOCG or a carbonatite, it does definitely demonstrate that we're in a different geological regime up there. There's some, what appear to be significant mafic, ultramafic intrusives, which opens up a number of other possible drill targets, and a really kind of large sequence of massive sandstone, which we weren't expecting. But we just need to bring that data together once we get our core back here in Perth. The Shep target, we went and drilled an EM target there as part of this year's program. Shep was drilled mostly in 2024, and we went there sort of targeting an idea that there might be nickel and that red parts of this diagram might be a sort of ultramafic sill. We demonstrated that it's sort of ultramafics and lamprifiers together, sort of lamprifier in the northern part and more ultramafic in the bottom part. And a lot of it's mineralized. When I say mineralized, with pyrite and sort of elevated nickel, there's a few meters at plus 1% nickel in the oxide. Our whole BRC 15 at the bottom of the map there, near that large blue square, intersected a large sort of mineralized envelope, I suppose, that was 36 metres at 5 ppb gold and including 14 metres at 0.2 nickel, which, 5 ppb doesn't sound much, but when you consider that most of the other holes we drill have no gold in them, 5 ppb over such a large intercept, and it gets up to as high as 30 ppb in there. So we'll look to target perhaps that contact where the red sort of meets the blue. We stepped out and drilled into the EM plate, which is what that blue square represents, hoping that there was a major structure there that perhaps was a feeder for that. It turns out it wasn't. It is a major structure, but I think we need to look closer to that contact between the sediments and those mafic rocks if we want to have success, which we'll look at doing over the coming years. So this slide is really just what we did this year. We drilled a 600-metre hole at 25 WBR001, a 450-metre hole at 02, and a 350-metre hole at 3. The holes number 2 intersected a really interesting intercept from a geological standpoint, like really significant intrusives of ultramafics and mafics, often with significant carbonate and silica alteration, quartz stockworks, but sadly they didn't come with a massive string of gold values. So again, we'll come back, look at that geochemistry in more detail, and probably go back and test K6 and maybe further around that fold hinge from K5. I guess I'm an exploration geologist. I still think we have a very exciting path forward. This year we really believe in sort of informing the market what we're going to do, giving them a good idea of how much we're going to spend and what we're going to spend it on, and then delivering that in a really disciplined way. And I think we've done that again this year. We went out and we've done some really deep diamond drilling and RC drilling. That work, we've got the initial assays back from the RC pre-collars. We're still awaiting our core arriving back. There was some logistics issues getting it back here to Perth, but that's arriving imminently, and we'll do some detailed, density analysis of that and see how that models back into our geophysical models, which we've spent a lot of time generating. I think the most exciting part over the next little period is getting our tenure at Leonora granted, and then doing some airborne geophysics and then transitioning that into drilling sort of later in the year. We'd like to think we'd get there by maybe mid-October. Do the work, get the results, analyse those, and then wrap up around mid to late December. If there's anything I want you to take away, it's probably these things. We've got great locations. All of our projects are in really sort of tier 1 destinations where there's real potential for major discovery. We're well funded. We've still got, that says 4.1. We're actually just a little bit under that now after a couple of months of spending since June 30. And we do high quality geoscience. We've generated good targets. And we believe in the work that we're doing, and we think that generates the highest chance of success. Really good team, sort of experts in their field, strong experience in all the places we're looking. We've got good relationships with the traditional owners, especially at Webb. We've been working with them for 4 years as CGN, and before that, the previous owners who we were very close with had been there for 10 years. And we're starting out well with the Darlow Group. I think we've come to a good consensus on what a fair access agreement looks like, and we look forward to working with them. We want to do high impact exploration. That's really what we want to do, and that's where we like to spend our money. So I guess stay tuned and see what we have to offer. We're a very tightly structured company. We've only got 110 million shares on offer. I think we're very reasonably priced at the current share price. Should we have success in any one of our projects, that number will, appreciate rapidly given the scale of it and tightness of our holding. So I look forward to you becoming investors, and if you are investors, hang on for the ride. I hope it to be an exciting one. Thanks very much for your attendance, I guess, and if you've got any questions, let them rip.
Thank you. Thank you, Stan, for walking us through such a detailed and compelling presentation. I'm sure it gave our attendees a lot to think about. We'll take the questions posed, Mr. Don, right? So next we turn to Mr. Don Smith, the Managing Director of Tempest Minerals Limited. Mr. Don Smith brings over 20 years of diverse experience in the mining industry. A qualified geologist and entrepreneur, Don has worked across exploration, development, operations, and consultancy for a broad range of companies, from junior explorers to multinational resource firms, covering commodities such as base metals, precious metals, and energy minerals. He has been a founding director of several resource companies, notably leading the successful ASX listings of Platypus Resource and Alderon Resources. Don remains actively involved in startups and industry consulting as well. Welcome to Calkine Media's InvestNest webinar, Mr. Don Smith. We appreciate your patience while waiting for your turn. Please feel free to share your presentation deck and take over the virtual stage.
Thanks, Monica, and thanks, Calkine, for having us. And I apologise in advance to everyone for my my voice today, where I've been unwell for a few days, so this may be suboptimal. Um, thank you for everyone watching, and also thanks to Stan for speaking before me. I'm a big fan of his and what they're doing, so it was good to have an update there. Onto Tempest. You can, of course, read our disclaimer in your own time with all the vigor it requires. A bit about the company before we launch into project-related stuff. For anyone who's not familiar with Tempest already, we're ASX-listed company, been around since about 2017, and we're originally a pure lithium explorer, but we have diversified in the last 5 years into a number of commodities and locations here in Western Australia. We've got a very modest market cap at the moment, to say the least, considering the value that we're proposing. And despite that, we have a fantastic team, as you can see on the list there. Notably, Brian Moller, who's a bit of a legend of the industry at chairman, and the rest of us who are all multidisciplinary, have degrees in different things, and have all built mines and made discoveries in the past. We've also got a great team who aren't listed there, including Jurka Justu, our chief geologist, and Paul German, our company secretary. What makes us different? I think Stan, who spoke before us, we have a lot in common here, in that we're trying to do excellent technical work and bring that into a commercial framework, which will, inevitably have outcomes. And the way that we differentiate Tempest is our commitment to sustainability. Everything we do starts off with that lens. The second thing is our technology usage. I'm confident there's not anyone in the industry at our scale doing some of the things that we are with computers and the technology. And the third is, of course, the quality of our projects and how we want to grow the company. So particularly on the last one, that's what the next lot of slides are about. If it will change. Yeah, there we go. So as I mentioned, all our projects are here in Western Australia. They're located as per the map there. I'm going to separate the discussion today twice into two different parts. One of those is going to be gold focused, and the other is going to be iron focused. And gold being first, as it's very popular and exciting today, and indeed the title of the webinar. So our three main gold target projects that we have at the moment are in Mount Magnet, Yalgoo, and in the Fraser Range, which is called Elephant. As I was introduced earlier, or Tempest was introduced earlier, we have the imminently to be tested Mount Magnet area. Okay, so our project there is called the Range project, and we've got a number of targets that we're planning on drilling in the coming few weeks, actually. So if we do a bird's eye view of the entire region, I guess, the Mount Magnet region, you can see we've got two very significant players surrounding us. So the Tempest ground there is the red color, and you can see the green around us is Ramelius, who are a multi-billion-dollar market cap company, one of the major miners in Australia. And you also have Ordell, who's recently made some exciting gold discoveries, only a few hundred meters, few kilometers away from our project. And I guess you can do your own research on that, but you can see there's a significant difference in the way that our companies are trading relative. Our first target I want to talk about, and this is what we, in fact, my geologist is driving into site right now to finalize some things for this, is called the Wrangler target. So we've got the Britannia pit, which is on the left-hand side of that image, and everything to the right-hand side of that image is Tempest. And a little over a year or so ago, we did some fancy geological modeling stuff to try and understand where, if there was more gold, where it was going to be. And lo and behold, we walked out to the field to where that model said, which is where my mouse is moving just now, and we found some gold. So that's a pretty easy start point for drill targeting. But since then, we've also done some further work in the last few weeks, and we've announced that where a consultant's done some review of the rocks that are present at our project and shown that them to be the equivalent of intrusive rocks within the Ordell and also Ramelius ground surrounding us. And that's also generated some extra targets for us to consider drilling. And we're certainly going to drill a couple of those in this upcoming project drilling program that we have planned, which will be somewhere in the order of 1,500 meters of RC drilling. Moving on from the Range project, we'll go to the Yalgoo project, which is our flagship project due to its size and opportunity. You can see all the yellow spheres on the screen. They're all existing gold prospects, or existing gold deposits, I should say. And we have been exploring here for a few years, and we have already uncovered multiple lots of gold mineralization in our exploration. And I'll take you through some of those relatively quickly just now. The first one is called Sanity. So this is a long strike from Warrior Resources Barron deposit. Warrior, who of course have made news recently with their large gold antimony deposit extension, as well as being a takeover target from another company. We believe that this is the same rocks extending into our project, and we have a extensive geochemical anomaly at the surface, which correlates with that, with results up to about 300 ppb in some cases in soils, but in rock chips there is economic grades there of approximately 7 grams in around old shafts. So people in the olden days did explore here also, put down shafts, but maybe with modern technology we can now understand the greater picture that it's part of a bigger system. So we're looking to test some of this hopefully later this year as well. This is the target that actually started our interest in this whole region in Yalgoo. This is called the War West target. So it's an intrusion within the middle of the Yalgoo greenstone belt. And historically, this was mapped as a barren granite. However, we, through various means, found that there was a lot of prospectors there who had found quite a lot of gold. And so we started exploring it, and now we recognize this as a large intrusion-related gold system. And we've found several examples of high-grade outcrops, and there's one there that was 8 grams per ton. That's called Weload, and we drilled that a few years ago and got similar results directly underneath it. And you can see the relevance of that in the picture, where there is a unutilized gold mill only a few kilometers away in the distance there, visible from where we're working. So we're looking forward to doing some more follow-up work for this in the imminent future. Similarly, to the north of that, we have the Messenger target, which was one of the most prolific gold producing areas in Australia, one of the first places that gold was discovered in Western Australia, actually. And there was a government facility there for processing gold at one point. We've done limited exploration there, but we have already found multiple occurrences of gold. And historic drilling there hit grades up to 300, 1,000 grams per ton. So there's definitely gold there. There's more work needs to be done to find where it's been concentrated. To the south, we've got another area we've done some exploration and had results. You can see there's a whole string of drilling, both historic and done by Tempest there, with results historically of up to 15 meters at 2 grams. We had a peak number of 3 meters at 4, but that was within a larger sort of 50-meter envelope. So we're also looking to do more work there in the imminent future. So lots of news coming, so make sure you stay tuned on all our gold exploration. I'll only mention this passingly, but we have a larger, more speculative project called the Elephant Project. We identified this through the similarity of the geophysical signature of this area to another large gold mine to the north of us called Tropicana. There's also some compelling geochemistry, about an 8-kilometer long gold anomaly in the soil. So once we've gone through the regulatory processes to get here, we'll also likely test this one in the not too distant future also. And that's the target I just mentioned. All right, on to iron, which is our second prong in our story at the moment. Again, looking at the Yalgoo region I mentioned before in a gold context. Now we'll look at it from an iron context. It's actually one of the most prolific iron regions in Australia, with no fewer than 4 world-class giant, well, 5 now, giant iron deposits there, and including Mount Gibson, Carrara, Sino, and the FIGV Yogi deposit in the north. In late last year, we were drilling a copper anomaly, ironically, at the project here, and we came upon a large iron deposit, which we have now named Remorse. A quick summary, there's a lot of information there. I won't read it all out, but we have generated a exploration target of up to 110 million tons. We've managed to, from the limited drilling we did, we have generated an inferred resource of 63 million tons. And as I think was mentioned earlier, we've done a ton of metallurgy on the results the drilling that we've done already, and we've got spectacular results, really, up to 70% recovery, which is about as good as it gets. And so now we're looking further down the path of what that looks like as a potential development opportunity, as a standalone mine or part of a larger operation. There's some more pictures and information on that. As I said, there's the exploration target and the resource estimate that we've completed. And there's some information on the metallurgy. So we didn't just do 1 or 2 samples. We did 9 large composites that are spread right across the deposit. So we've got a very strong handle on what the metallurgical responses of the deposit are overall. And feeling very, very positive and very confident about this going forward. We've only just released in the last few days or last week or so that we've also identified a second one of these, and we've named that Halo. And it's only circa 3 kilometers away from Remorse, so very, very close. Exactly the same rocks. We've now confirmed that by field work, and looks to be exactly the same kind of stuff, but at least 2 or 3 times as big. So we could be looking at quite a substantial overall resource being generated in this area. And this is right beside infrastructure. So it's only 400 kilometers from Perth. It's a few minutes drive away from a major road, and highways, rail, power, water, telecoms, they're all there already. There's a major mining area already. So this is not remote exploration. This is something that can be in production very, very quickly. So we're working towards that as fast as we can, and we're looking forward to drilling the Halo target hopefully later this year. I mentioned infrastructure. That gives you some perspective of what I've just mentioned. So we've got the Great Northern Highway here, and we've got 3 or 4 rail heads right nearby to us. So critically, we've signed a MOU with a steel production startup here in WA who's looking to build a facility in Yalgoo, just to the north of our project. And we think that this could be a major regional development for Western Australia, and in terms of downstream processing of something that we would normally just dig up and send overseas. That's what I just mentioned, the MO with Green Steel. We'll have some more news coming on that in the near future. So I recommend that anyone who's not already, they follow our story and keep their ears open for news. So what's coming? So as I mentioned, we've got further iron updates, both corporately and exploration wise. We're going to be doing more drilling and also developing this whole concept of a new iron processing facility. We've also got the drilling I mentioned earlier. So that's the highlight, I guess, that everyone wants to hear about at the moment, is we'll be drilling at Mount Magnet very shortly. Same rocks as our neighbours who have got major valuations and indeed major deposits. So we'll be doing that and more exploration all around our portfolio. And anyone who wants to learn more about the company, I recommend you visit our website and, of course, our YouTube, where we have videos explaining all of the things that I've just outlined.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Don Smith, for taking out the time to present and share your expertise. Wishing you a quick and full recovery. Okay, so both our speakers have provided a clear picture of their company's exciting paths forward. I would now just get a few keyed-in questions answered from the speakers. We'll start with CGN. So the first question we have is, what's the potential scale of the gold targets at one of your major projects, Webb?
Yeah, so look, I guess Webb is potentially huge. We went there targeting IOCG deposits, which generally there are a couple of things. Usually pretty good grade in copper, reasonable grade of gold, but usually quite large in size. That's why we targeted them, and the area is considered prospective for it because of its geology and structural history. So, if you looked at other IOCGs in Australia, you're talking Olympic Dam. I don't think we've got one as big as that because that has a very big footprint. But Carrapateena, Ernest Henry, and what's the other one? Prominent Hill. Like the targets that we have, some of our gravity targets are of a similar scale to those, and they are massive company-making deposits. So, yeah, look, if we find one of those, then very large. But there is also potential for smaller ones. Sort of looking at those new mafic and ultramafic rocks that we didn't really know were there. They're not mapped in terms of the publicly available geology. So when you find something new, it opens up new opportunities.
Sure. I think I will club these two questions that I have. This one is, can you please provide an update on the status of tenure or permits for your key projects? Also, if after tenure approval, what are the immediate developments or exploration plans for these projects?
Yeah, so the Webb project is in a joint venture with Meteoric Resources, and we dilute them out with how much we spend. So when we listed, I think it was about 80% us and 20% them. Through our expenditure, we've diluted them down to about 7%. And if we get them to 5%, then it switches to a royalty. and so they're all granted. The Leonora ones, as I said, I would think we're very close to getting those. They're all in application currently. Like I said, we've done agreements with sort of key stakeholders, negotiated those agreements, and as soon as the Darlow Group sign that, that gets presented to government, and that's pretty much the last hurdle for us to get Christmas Well granted. So that'll be our first sort of gold project area that we work on. The stuff at Panhandle is a little less advanced in that we haven't sort of compiled all the historic data yet. So the plan for those two is we have still done the Darlow agreement and the miscellaneous license agreements over most of the stuff down at Panhandle. And so once we've done some work at Christmas Well, hopefully it's so successful that we just keep doing work there. But should it not be successful, then we'll start looking at doing those other works down at Panhandle. And there's some really impressive results down there, which I haven't sort of released yet, so I won't go into them here now, but really quite interesting. And then the Broadhurst project is our newest one. As I said, we only pegged that a month ago. So just given the timing of West Australian approvals process, I think we can say it's going to be more than 6 months. I'm hoping less than 9, and we can get up there. We've got very good relationships with Encounter Resources, who are our neighbour at Webb, and it turns out are also our neighbour in at the Broadhurst project, and so they've very generously offered us the opportunity to use their infrastructure to get work done up there. So that's really great as well.
Sure. I think this is going to be imperative. What are the next milestones investors should watch for in the coming months? And if you can just encapsulate what to expect.
So grant of tenure for the gold, I would say, will be a big tick for us. That sort of opens the door for us to then move into geology mode. We've already done quite a bit of work on that, so we've got a number of targets that we think are worthy of drilling, but we would like to get some better airborne magnetics data. So we'd be looking to fly that as soon as we can, perhaps in as little as sort of 4 weeks. And from that, we will hopefully confirm the targets that we've already generated from geochemistry and drilling. And hopefully we will also add some new targets to go and test. So that would be, I'd say, a milestone in terms of information flow. And then drilling, probably another month to 6 weeks after that, so middle of October. So we'll sort of have, and we might do some, if we get the chance, we might also do some surface geochem, but because so much alluvial cover there, it's not the ideal medium for sampling. So we'll go and have a look around. We've already had a look around, and there's some interesting stuff that we could do on terms of surface geochem, but the broader swaths of the project where we think is the most interesting are probably not useful for that. And then, towards the end of the year, maybe the grant of the Broadhurst project, which again we can move quite quickly to go and do work there. There's no other encumbrances that would stop us from doing that. And in terms of the Webb project, as I said, we've got the core coming down from Perth, which I'm not expecting to have a major discovery hidden in there. We're pretty diligent out in the field. We do field portable XRF. We use expert level geologists to do the work, and but what it will do will provide an opportunity to do some more density work on the rocks, a little bit more detailed geochemistry and aging work so we can just see where the rocks fit in the architecture of the region, and then use that data to maybe think about which targets we'll hit next. So there could be some quite interesting data that comes out of that. Probably not the kind of data that an investor might think is interesting, but as an exploration geologist, it's very interesting.
Sure, great. I think I'll take one last question for CGN. Stan, given your extensive global experience, how does CGN's project portfolio compare to other international exploration projects you have led?
Look, that's a pretty loaded question. I've worked on some really exceptional projects over my life. When you spend 35 years doing exploration work, you see some pretty amazing things. And like Don, he and I were both consultants for a time, and so you get this amazing opportunity to sort of move around and see projects. What I will say is the web project, I was kind of in semi-retirement after selling our consulting business. And someone came to me with the web project as a sort of a concept and said, "What do you think of this?" And I thought, wow, that is a really good concept. It hadn't really been explored. It had the right geology, a really good address. You know, other parties like Geoscience Australia and the GSWA had said, look, this is a hotspot for discovery. Major companies had been there before, but it is remote and it is a little bit challenging, and everyone kind of walked away. But just as we listed, our next door neighbour, WA1, made a major discovery there, and that made it a pretty hot prospect. And so I think it remains a really exceptional project that requires more exploration. So, you know, I'm biased. I'm the managing director of the company. Do I think it's a great portfolio? Yes, I do. I kind of built it with the team. So we didn't just do it for you know, filling up paper. We really do value good geoscience. We really want to pick up pieces of ground that where there is the opportunity to make a major discovery. So that's what we've done, and now we're going to go and hopefully make that major discovery.
Great. So having said that, we'll move on. We'll take questions for TEM now. So Don, the first one, what are your key goals from the RC drilling at Mount Magnet?
Well, certainly it's to find some gold. That's the short answer. It is more than that though, because there has been a little bit of historical drilling, specifically where we are drilling, and but it was quite a long time ago, and let's just say the records were not fantastic, and the threshold for what was interesting back then was very different now to now. So we're looking to hopefully find an extension of the gold system that we know is there, but also to understand the geology better, so that we can then expand that model into the rest of our holdings.
Sure. And how does the Mount Magnet project fit into Tempest Minerals' overall growth strategy?
Oh, it's always been a critical one because of its very compelling location. It's completely surrounded by a major miner, and yeah, we think there's an excellent opportunity to provide more feedstock for their very hungry mill there in Mount Magnet.
Great. And how important are the Rimos iron metallurgical results for Yalgu?
Oh, look, very important. Whenever someone talks about iron ore and specifically magnetite, the first thing they say is, you know, what's the processing look like? Because it demands that in terms of whether it's going to be an economic proposition or not. And the fact that we've got results that are in the very highest possible numbers you can physically get certainly tells us that this is it's heading in the right direction.
Sure. And what's next for developing the Rimos iron discovery?
So we're going to be understanding more in terms of the more technical stuff around the deposit, so understanding the geology better, and then potentially looking at some conceptual mine designs and that kind of thing. But overall, we'll also be doing drilling at Halo, because if that is as big as it implies, then we have two ore bodies right beside each other, and we need to work out the synergies of those.
Sure. So this is going to be the last one from the flow. Don, what are your long-term vision and milestones for Tempest Minerals?
Oh, look, we'd like to uh, raise off the from the bottom level of the junior explorer category that we currently sit, and like to head towards a lower to mid cap size company through development of our projects and discoveries. Yeah.
Sure. So before we end this webinar, I would like to request our esteemed presenters to unmute. turn on your cameras and share a brief takeaway for our audience.
Look, I think the key takeaway is that we went to market with an idea of doing good exploration and really using geoscience to vector towards a discovery. And we continue to do that. Our role, I mean, I'm a geologist, I've got an exploration manager, and so we're a pretty small team, but we do drag a lot of experts into this process. And you can't really do anything great outside of a team, I don't think. And so our team, although quite small, is really experienced and highly driven and really successful in the discovery of mineral deposits over their careers. So I would just say, try and be patient. I know it's difficult in this business to be patient, but look, we have really good projects. We've got a really good team. We're still really well funded to do the work that we want to do. So stick with us, and hopefully we can enjoy success together.
Takeaways from Tempest is that for quite a long time we've been a multi-commodity explorer. So we're not focused on individual commodities, despite me talking about them quite a bit in our presentation today. We believe in good geoscience, good projects, and doing things well. So one of the ways that we succeed in the last part is our harnessing of the technology and everything, and that means that we can move very quickly by using efficient processes. And of course, sometimes you're dragged down by factors outside our control, but compared to a lot of our peers, I think we've shown in the last 6 months or last 8 months that we've gone from a discovery to a resource to doing all our metallurgy and being ready to look at mine designs and stuff in only a few short months. So it means it shows that we are doing what we say we do. Yeah, and I think that is something that's not and the quality of our projects and the potential of what we could have coming is not being recognized in the market yet. So for anyone who is a shareholder, as Stan said, patience. Understand that we're in a challenging period in the market, but also I think we are going to see significant changes in re-rating in the near future.
A heartfelt thanks to Mr. Stan Oley and Mr. Don Smith for being part of today's session and sharing such valuable perspectives. On behalf of Calkine Media, I would like to extend my gratitude for addressing our audience with meaningful insights and patiently answering their queries with such great analysis. I would also like to take a moment to thank our engaged audience for being a part of this webinar. We hope each one of you found the session informative. And to delve further into equity and market updates, audience do visit our media website, www.calkinemedia.com/au. Also do visit our equity research website, which is www.calkine.com.au. Now, this wraps up today's session. But we'll be back soon. Stay tuned with Calkine Media for the next chapter of the Calkine Nest webinar series. We are very active on our social media platforms, so please stay connected with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you have any queries, our email ID is info@calkinemedia.com. Stay apprised, invest wise. Thank you once again for your time and participation. Wishing you a pleasant day ahead.